For today's episode of Crossfire Faith and Gaming, we're bringing you what was a live broadcast during annual conference of the Mountain Sky Conference in Helena, Montana. It's been edited to make a little bit more sense since there's some things that we talk about that were only valid for that particular week. And also we just edited down some of the things that didn't make sense because it was a live show, and now we're turning it into a podcast. So hopefully it is coherent, and stay tuned next week. We'll be back with our regular podcast. But for this week, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Crossfire Faith and Gaming, the podcast. And a huge shout out to Lonnie White, who is our Patreon supporter at the $10 a month level. And a huge shout out to everybody else who supports at the less than $10 a month level. We could not do this show without you. Yeah, so my question is, if you had to tell somebody who had never heard about Crossfire before, what would you tell them? I'm going to step out for a second. John is going to tell you maybe the answer to the question. What would you tell somebody about Crossfire who had never heard about Crossfire before? And if Russ starts screaming during the chat, the Avs are playing.
What would I tell somebody who had never heard about Crossfire? I would say that it's a community of folks who simply like to gather, who are a little bit nerdy and like to be in those sort of fantasy worlds and those spaces. And we talk about how those worlds and our reality and our faith and our spirituality all sort of intersect and combine. I've really enjoyed my time in Crossfire, and I have really enjoyed seeing it grow. And I hope to continue to see it grow. And I just hope to, see a lot more of you guys joining us. Is that good?
Yeah. Yes! Yes, baby!
All right.
We won! We won game one! Let's go! Let's go! Woo! Yeah! Let's go!
For all the Tampa Bay fans out there.
3 games! Let's go!
I apologize if you're from Tampa Bay that you have to hear Russ exciting.
Sorry.
Over it. But we are a Colorado-based ministry, so.
Well, and I got the stuff on
the ad stuff. Yeah, makes sense.
Okay.
So I was going to say it's great to gather in person. It's great, even though we're across great distances. I know we're up here in Helena. It took me, 5 hours, 6 hours today, 8 hours yesterday, 14 hours to drive all the way here so I could be here in person. Russ, what are your thoughts about that? About gathering in person, about gathering not in person? How hard has it been for you?
No, it's fun, especially because, we've made so many friends and met so many people and talked to so many people over the last 3 years of really ramping up the Crossfire stuff, even right before COVID happened. So it's nice to come together. I'm excited. There's a lot of people that I want to meet. There's a lot of people I want to see. I want to talk to a lot of different people as well. So, that's something that I'm excited to get to be a part of and do. And probably the biggest thing and how we're excited as Crossfire to get to come up here is we're really starting to ramp up just spreading the word about Crossfire and just becoming a bigger thing. And I think this is one of the first steps. I mean, eventually our goal would be to do these sort of things at multiple annual conferences. Angela, who's one of our members, who's in California, she's talked about would love to have us around in that area. Her church has actually supported Crossfire as well. So, there's so many awesome, amazing things happening and coming, and this is kind of the first step of what does it look like for Crossfire to go on the road, per se, and what does it look like for us to kind of reach out and see, as far as meeting and seeing new people and just spreading the name about Crossfire. Trombone says, Crossfire is a compassionate, supportive community of Christians who are also nerds and encouraged to use that nerdiness to build a community and share the love of Jesus, as a summary. So
there you go.
That's pretty good.
Nice. Well,
I like it.
We might just steal that for our mission statement at some point when we need to write a mission statement.
Trombone, it's not TM. It's not copyrighted.
Yeah. But, I think Russ and I were talking earlier about the fact that Crossfire really aims to bridge the gaps between us. We started Crossfire, I think I started Crossfire, the first idea I had about it was summer of 2017. And at that point, there was absolutely no notion of a pandemic that would separate us, that would make it impossible for us to gather in close personal spaces. But there was still geographical separation. And so I know that for me, it was one of those, I was gathering online with friends, doing online gaming, friends from all over the country, friends who I had shared common interests with, friends who I shared the same interests in games with. And I said, if this kind of connection is possible, what if we could take that connection and see it in the church, right? Because this is the thing that really got me started with wanting to create Crossfire in the first place was I saw the connection with especially young people who would get together in online spaces around gaming, and yet us young people aren't necessarily present in the church. And I said, I don't think it's necessarily that the church isn't interesting to us, right? Because there's a lot of young people who are deeply interested in the church, in faith, in Christ, in trying to live a Christ-like life, in trying to ask the hard questions of, how do I wrestle with this piece of my faith that may not necessarily match what I've been told or match my identity or match, the theology that I understand as the correct theology. We want to engage in those places and those spaces, but we don't necessarily want to go and sit in a room where nobody looks like us and listen to 200-year-old hymns if that's not what connects best with us. So I'm just glad that Crossfire exists as a place where we can get together across geographic distance. And then, like Russ was saying, my hope is that we can do more of these kind of things where we could show up at your annual conference with our little table booth and we could do a live stream like this and just talk to more people, because I think we have more fun when more of us are present in one space. Christ says wherever 2 or 3 are gathered, but I think it's 2 or 3 or 5 or 20 or 100, right? It's more fun with more people. It's more exciting to share the gospel in those places with more people. Not that I'm like super evangelistic, but I do think that sharing the beautiful things that we've created and sharing the beautiful ways in which we gather is something worth sharing.
Yeah.
So
Trombone said WNC is my home conference now. They're having a D&D event at the conference, which is obvious because Checkpoint is there.
Yeah.
So Checkpoint Church Plant will also have a video about the D&D session.
Nice.
During conference.
Nice. Also want to announce, I don't know if we've officially announced, but we can officially announce now, our partnership with the Boulder Spirit Foundation.
Yep.
That's helping us to expand and grow our ministry. And so I'm excited about what that makes possible for us here in the Mountain Sky Conference to expand and grow our ministry here. So hopefully through maybe some videos at annual conference in the future, we can share the word like that too. But I'm excited to hear how that goes for Checkpoint. Wish Nathan the best. Nathan's a good buddy of ours. And I'm excited too. Maybe January we should do another one of those collaborative fundraising things with Nathan. Definitely. And then with the folks over at Methodist Gaming too.
Yeah.
That was a whole lot of fun.
No, definitely. So I platinumed Horizon Forbidden West last weekend.
Okay.
So this isn't a spoiler.
Right.
But one of the trophies is you have to beat 2 of the races. On top of that, you also have to hit level 50. Okay. So in the end game, I was at 45. So I had to grind for those last 5 levels. And the best way they told me to do that was finish the final race of the racing circuit. Oh my gosh, was that thing horrible. The controls are not great. Characters would get stuck on each other. Your character would all of a sudden stop running, even though I'm pushing the running button. Just
the running,
so many
like a foot race.
No, it's on a robot. On one of the robot
on one of your mounts.
It's the cow mounts, the like bulls.
Gotcha.
It's like Mario Kart. You get power ups in the race. You get speed boosts.
Shells at people.
You can hit people with your arrow. You can hit people with your. It's a cool idea, but it was just not well executed. So it caused me a lot of problems, and the whole time I'm just thinking this is the rubber band thing in motion, because every time I'd get like way ahead, I could just see them all of a sudden like really speeding up to get up to me. So I hate it. I hate when racing games do that. If I'm really good at a racing game and I get far out ahead, I'm just gonna win. Don't make it so that the computer gets like an extra boost to make it fair because you're so good or you're so far ahead. Not a fan of that in games.
Yeah, rubber banding is great if you are terrible.
Sure.
If you're just absolute trash at Mario Kart.
It works in Mario Kart because I think that's kind of the point. Everybody just stays tight. The power-ups only matter if you are like somewhat tight-knit in a pack. And then, of course, you've got the ultimate equalizer, which is the blue shell.
Right.
So, not a fan of rubber banding.
So I think of the bullet as the ultimate equalizer.
That's better because you get from the back to the front or back close to the front at least. Dave, what in the last few weeks, what have you been playing? What have you been, let's do
Sure.
Just so you guys know, on our Discord Monday Night Hangouts, which you're more than welcome to join us, we do a kind of what have you been playing this week? What have you been watching? Just kind of doing recommendations. We can have little chats about it. So Dave, what have you been playing / watching in the last week?
Yeah. So I played a lot of Jedi Fallen Order. Especially with the thing that made me want to get back into that was watching Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh, yeah.
Realizing that that's in the same timeline between movie 3 and 4. We're in the timeline of like 66. So I knew that we were in that post Order 66 timeline. And, I was curious if there was any crossover, the Inquisitors kind of thing. Wondering if we see any of the same characters that are in Jedi Fallen Order that are in Obi-Wan Kenobi. Just generally being in like a good Star Wars mood that helped me to get back into it. That, and then I've tried to beat Half-Life Alyx on my Oculus, or I guess the Meta Quest is what it's called now, through Valve Steam VR. And I've gotten to a point where I am kind of stuck in this one spot where I don't have enough ammo to get through, and I'm having a hard time. So that's what I've been playing mostly. Trying to think of anything else. Oh, I did go back and I finally got almost all A's on my Maverick.
Whoa!
On the Maverick
you did
demos.
The Maverick missions.
Yep, on the Maverick missions, I finally got a B on the aircraft carrier landing, which I was very happy about because that was insane. I got an A on all of the canyon runs, and then I did finish my cross country supersonic or hypersonic flight mission, where you take about 45 minutes to fly from the West Coast and you land in Florida. So, yeah, that's what I've been playing. Russ, what about you?
Like I said, Horizon. I also started up a new release from this past week, The Quarry.
Oh, that's right. I saw you playing that.
Yeah, which is, first time. Oh, it's my wife.
Well, hey,
first
hey,
time viewer, Angie
welcome.
Dornish.
Welcome.
1, 2, 3.
Thanks for subscribing.
No, she just chatted. You can follow us. That would help us. Feel free to hit the follow button.
Which is a good reminder. If you've got that Amazon Prime subscription, you can go in and you can subscribe with your Amazon Prime. Costs you nothing. Gives us $2.50.
Our Amazon Prime for this.
All right. Well, I don't know. She's got a different account.
So The Quarry, fun, awesome. If you're into just storytelling and kind of like the interactive movies, that's what those games are. There is very little actual gameplay of moving around. Little bit of a mystery kind of puzzle solver too to it. Because technically all your characters can be killed. So you have to answer questions a certain way, solve puzzles a certain way, make certain decisions, all that type of thing.
You were saying it was a lot like Detroit Become Human, like the Quantic Dream games.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So Quantic Dream started that. Supermassive Games that made Until Dawn. That was their first game that did that.
Okay.
Amazing game. So much fun playing Until Dawn. Very good cast. They spent all the money on the cast. And this one is their new game about some camp counselors. So it's the old, horror trope. And they are fighting, I don't know yet, some kind of monsters. So we don't know what it is yet in the game. That's where I'm at with The Quarry. I believe there was one other thing that I was playing and messing around with. Looking forward, though, it comes out next week.
What's that?
Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay.
Old school, going back to the original side-scrolling beat-em-ups. Yeah. And it's coming to Game Pass.
And is that, are we going to be able to play like co-op online, four-player online?
Actually, no, 5-player co-op.
5 players, okay.
Yeah, because you can play.
I was like, there's 4 turtles. And then you're Splinter?
April and Casey Jones.
Okay, gotcha.
So, as far as shows this week, let's see. I did watch Obi-Wan today on my lunch break.
Oh, okay. I didn't watch today's episode.
I watched the new episode.
Okay.
Very interesting turn of events.
Spoilers here,
No spoilers.
I'm waiting.
Just very interesting. Go watch it. Also, what else are we watching? We finished Stranger Things last week, season 4. We're ready for the finale coming out.
We're still trying to get. We haven't been together to watch Stranger Things. My wife and I are trying to watch it. I think I mentioned on the Discord. We're trying to get that done, so my son can see it. If it's appropriate or not.
Season 4 is pretty rough. I will say that to everybody at home. Watch it first, but me and my wife weren't able to look at the screen during a few scenes because of how bad it is.
Okay.
We had to avert our own eyes, so that can kind of tell you where we're at.
Anything you would compare it to? Like, I mean,
your horror movies where it's like, people are demon possessed and certain things happen to them while they're doing that.
Okay.
Your Exorcist and things like that. Some of that happens in season 4 of Stranger Things. If anybody has watched Stranger Things season 4 in the chat and wants to attest to that, please let me know. Other than that, Miss Marvel last week, first episode, second episode today. So I will be going to my hotel tonight and watching that second episode because I'm super excited about that. Have you guys watched?
We have not watched any, but I'm very excited about it.
That
one is on my list.
Yep.
And I'll probably start watching that before I even go back and watch Moon Knight, which I know you said was amazing.
Yeah, Moon Knight's a good one to watch. That one's the one but Miss Marvel, I would say I bet your daughter would like to watch Miss Marvel.
Okay, good family fun.
Yes, very, very family friendly. That was the whole point. You know what I get for it, and this is our generation.
What's that?
We'll see if anybody at home. I get Lizzie McGuire vibes.
Okay.
So it's kind of that teen comedy drama.
Okay.
With the animation mixed in.
Okay, yeah, that's right. Because I was very interested in the art style.
Yep.
When I saw that online, the first trailer for it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a great show. It's one of Marvel's best, I think, TV shows. Period. Nice. And most people are saying that. It's just very lighthearted, fun, appreciative. I also love the representation in the show. The main character in our family, they are Muslim. They talk about it. They show that they're from Pakistan. So it's like, kind of a really cool way of, introducing a little bit more, different things into the Marvel universe.
Right. Well, I do think representation is huge in so many different ways. There was some show that we watched, and I was so impressed at how, from kind of a geodiversity standpoint, the representation in that show. And then, so many other shows, I'm always just impressed whenever you get a show. Huge shout out right now. I love Disney putting out their kind of Pride collection. They put out a whole collection that was specifically representation first type of shows. So, and that's the thing we've always talked about here at Crossfire too. I love seeing games that include a variety of characters that represent the diversity in the world. Everywhere from, a while back we talked with Justin Fox, who made Black Simulator, kind of an experience of what it was like to be a black person just navigating a day. And all the way from that to talking about, black characters in games and kind of black protagonists in games. And then all the way to, LGBTQ folks, where we see in The Last of Us Part 2 got a lot of flack from people in the reviews. But I thought the way that they navigated that whole thing was beautiful, which I always just have to say, even for the most aggressively anti-LGBTQ people out there, so you're okay with zombies who were infected by a fungus in this post-apocalyptic world, but you can't fathom two women having a relationship. Anyway, I don't know. Totally wild, crazy, but
it's the idea, and I've heard this from so many people. It's companies are just shoehorning it in just to, check that box. But The Last of Us, they've been doing a lot longer than that because, there were some undertones in the original one. Then obviously we got the Left Behind DLC, which then officially confirmed about Ellie's sexual orientation. And then obviously Last of Us 2, she is much older. So as an older person, she is going to be experiencing relationships and all that. And so, of course, it's going to be a part of a game.
Right. Shocking spoiler alert.
Yeah.
People have relationships.
There you go. So, which does, bring me to how excited are you for The Last of Us remake, Part 1, coming out in September?
Okay, so you remember a minute ago when you were screaming because the Avs won? That was my reaction when I saw The Last of Us remake. I think... it's gotten a lot of flack online because people are saying, does this actually warrant a remake? The original wasn't that long ago. The graphics weren't bad, right? It's not like you're taking a game that was almost unplayable and then giving it a remake where it's now, or a 20-year-old game.
Yep.
Let's say some of the Final Fantasy games or Resident Evil games.
The Resident Evil, yeah.
Right? Resident Evil 3 got a
2.
remake,
Yep.
right? And 2. When did Resident Evil 2 come out?
The original?
Yeah.
You're
I'm
looking
gonna ask my
late.
watch
You're
here.
looking late 90s, early 2000s.
When did the
remake.
original Resident Evil 2 game come out?
Let's see who's better.
Here's an
Siri or
answer
me.
from Wikipedia.
1998.
Okay,
Okay,
late
so
90s.
1998 to 2019. So we're talking 20 years versus when did The Last of Us come out?
2013.
I found this on the web.
2014.
Oh, I was close.
So 2014. So I mean, a little different. You're talking about a
Yeah.
game that was made 8 years ago, getting its second remake, right? Because when did The Last of Us Remastered come out?
Remaster was it was right when the PlayStation 4 came out,
Yeah.
which was like a year later, like 2015, 2016.
Right. So it already got remastered in 2015. Then you're talking 6 years, 7 years later, it gets remade again. So I get why people are saying this is not warranting a remake, but I think for me, I'm a graphics snob, right? I love games with amazing graphics. So I still have not played I still have not played Red Dead Redemption 1 because I feel like it's so far back in graphics that it wouldn't surprise me if they did a remake at some point and I could play it with more modern graphics. Yeah. So I feel like gosh, I'm all over the place today.
Last of Us.
I feel like The Last of Us Part 1 remake makes the game so much more accessible. I think about people like my son, right? My son's back there. He's almost 13 years old. He has not played The Last of Us. I will not let him play The Last of Us for so many reasons. If you've played The Last of Us, you totally understand. But, 5-6 years from now, I would love for him to play The Last of Us. And would it be better for him to have the remake available to play it on really good graphics on the PS5 or the remake of the remake on the PS6 whenever it comes out or PS5 Pro, I would love for him to experience that game in the best graphics possible. Second and last thing I'll say about this is controls. The Last of Us controls were rough at best.
That's the big one.
So if they could improve that and bring you the game with better controls, hands down, I'm all in. What did you think?
Well,
when you saw The Last of Us remake?
Because I've heard some people who have again, similar to like your son, people who are coming into their own in gaming, they have gone back because they're like, I hear this game is a masterpiece. So they have like found a way to pick it up, tried it out, and they're like, I mean, it's okay, but it's really clunky. It feels weird. It looks kind of weird. I ran into some glitches. Things like that. It hasn't aged. It's aged well because the story is just amazing. But the gameplay itself, and that was honestly some of the biggest complaints I heard from people who are like, PlayStation's the worst, or Xbox or a PC gamer only. Their big comeback is, well, The Last of Us is just kind of a movie that you play. Like, there's no gameplay really to it. It's linear. It tells you exactly where to go. There's not too much delineation from that.
But it's not as bad as something like Life is Strange.
No, exactly.
Life is Strange was almost like
movie. Yes.
Like you get to these like 30-minute cutscenes and you're like, well, there's this like 30-minute
but that's what they call, more of an interactive game. I will say Naughty Dog in the last, number of years, they've really tried to say, we're still going to make those type of games, but we're also going to make them more of a gameplay style game. And they did that with Uncharted 4 when they started opening up large areas where you had to accomplish multiple things in a large area.
Right.
They still pushed you in the direction they wanted you to go. And then The Last of Us Part 2 did that even better by having those huge open areas. And what was so great about it was you could tackle the enemies any way you wanted. You wanted to sneak by all of them? Go for it. You wanted to set up some traps? Go for it. If you go watch videos of The Last of Us Part 2, people's gameplays, still to this day, they're finding animations and things that people never know you could do with the character.
Right.
And they're just unbelievable. They're still finding things. So if we take that level of, openness, that level of animations and the ability to kind of go at things in a different way, and you bring it to The Last of Us Part 1, I think it's going to make it a much better game for people to enjoy. Graphics aside, it's going to look amazing. We've seen some of the side-by-side clips, and it does.
Right. Yeah, the clips of tests or the clips of the clickers. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so Neil Druckmann in his interview with Jeff Keighley actually said, and he revealed to Troy Baker and Ashley Johnson at the same time, he said, we actually went back and got all of the motion capture from that game, and we redid it and re-put it in there so that it refreshes and it is more accurate to the motion capture they got.
Really a motion capture remake. That's fascinating.
And that's why Tess is the one that I sent you, that it's available online. They have a side-by-side of Tess and her sigh that she gives to Joel. It looks night and day, the animations, how she sighs. It looks like a sigh, whereas the PS3 one looks off. So
they're talking about just a lot more natural feel to all the animation.
Yep.
But and I think too with games like that, some of it's about just removing obstacles, right? If there are times in any game where you become aware of the animation, aware of the motion capture, aware of the dialogue, aware of the sound effects, anytime that you get taken out of your element, where you're thinking about the game.
Oh, some gaming news. Of course, at the Xbox event, we did get the news of some Microsoft Flight Simulator DLC.
I saw that there was DLC. Was it the
Pelican
Halo?
dropship from Halo?
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is extremely difficult to fly. People were not able to figure it out because it has a hover mode and then a propelling, whatever that's called, mode.
Maybe they're trying that so they can put in an F-35 or a...
That'd be cool.
Love to fly an F-35 or a Harrier jump jet or any of those things.
Of course, we have Starfield, or what lots of people are calling...
Which Russ is so excited about that he's yawning.
No Man's Sky.
Yeah, I will
2.0.
say it definitely... It had No Man's Sky, but better vibes. I think maybe for people who love No Man's Sky and want more of the same or never played it and want to play something like it, maybe it'll be better. But, so, I don't know.
The other news that came out about it, too, Todd Howard came out and said that Starfield is not going to have seamless transition between planet and space. So similar to how No Man's Sky, you fly out of the planet and then enter space.
Yeah, but that's a seamless transition. Like in No Man's Sky,
I know. They're not going to do that in Starfield.
So you're going to launch and then you're going to have a loading screen?
I guess. We don't know. He didn't specify.
Well, I'm disappointed.
Let me go look for the article and we will tell you exactly.
Yeah, and I know the one article that I was looking at about Starfield was saying that Starfield was very exciting that it was going to have 1,000 unique planets, to which everybody asked, well, if you've got 1,000 unique planets, how populated is each of those 1,000 planets? I'm hopeful that maybe because it's been, 5 years since we heard something about Starfield, and it seems like it's taking forever to come out. Maybe it's because they're working so much on making each planet amazing. I'm not optimistic, though. I think it's going to be like No Man's Sky, where you go, wow, look, this planet's green. That one was blue. And this one has tall plants, and that one's plants were short. And that was, maybe that's it.
A couple details that came out. The story is going to be 30 to 40 hours.
Okay, so it's got story.
That's Fallout. There are 4 main cities.
Okay.
4. While it has over 1,000 planets, Howard confirmed there are only 4 main cities, the biggest of which is New Atlantis, the home of the main constellation Factor, which Howard describes as NASA meets Indiana Jones meets the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Okay. That's a little strange.
Okay.
Although I do say that I think part of me is biased that I want to really see this game prove itself because I was so excited. I think I've talked before. I went to E3 in 2018 and I went through the Fallout experience. I got a Fallout Vault Boy mask. I got a Fallout Nuka-Cola Quantum. I was thrilled for Fallout 76, and Fallout 76 became the laughing stock of the gaming industry for a couple of years, almost as bad as Cyberpunk. So I am just not going to put my eggs in this basket until Starfield proves itself. I hope it does. I wish them well, but yeah, I'm gonna wait and see. Definitely not pre-ordering. Put it that way. You should never pre-order. Don't do it.
It's on Game Pass, so you don't have to
Well,
pre-order.
I have already pre-ordered Game Pass, which, I mean, could bring us to the point of, we talked about Game Pass. PlayStation just recently came out with their new PlayStation Plus, which is now kind of like the Game Pass for PlayStation. A little bit more access to older games, a little bit more access to a larger variety of a library of games. So I'm curious out there, how many people subscribe to Game Pass? How many people subscribe to PlayStation Plus? And, just wondering, what are your thoughts on all that?
So here's the quote that I got online. We're going to get it from Eurogamer. So it says, however, when asked whether players can fly seamlessly to space, Howard said the feature is really just not that important to the player to justify the engineering required. People have asked, can you fly the ship straight down to the planet? No. We decided early in the project that the on-surface is one reality, and then when you're in space, it's another reality. The comments are interesting with so many comparisons made between Starfield and No Man's Sky. Howard also described the ship combat in Starfield influenced by FTL and MechWarrior.
What's FTL?
I have no idea. It just says FTL. There's been a lot of space sims that we're fans of and space shooters from the 90s, but the Starfield team wanted it to feel like something unique. So, no seamless travel. Not sure how that is going to...
I mean, maybe it's amazing. Maybe it's going to be great. Maybe it's not going to be that important to the players. But I think when you've got games like No Man's Sky that are doing it and doing it well, for a game company to go, well, we just don't know how to do that. Right, it's kind of like Cyberpunk coming out with their game and saying, well, we just can't figure out how to make this big, vast, open world engine where all of these things have tons of detail. And then a few years later, Ultimate Engine 5, Unreal Engine 5, UE5 comes out, and they go, we could have done this. So, yeah, I think anytime a game tries to give excuses for something they didn't do that another game does really well, it just feels like excuses. So more than anything, just keep praying for us, pray for the ministry, pray for us to get the word out about Crossfire. And if you want to help us do that, you can get a shirt or a hat. And as always, we've got a Patreon that you can subscribe to for as little as, I think, $3 a month. $10 a month gets you a shout out on the podcast. So this would be one of those points where we would say on the podcast or on the live stream, hey, quick shout out to so-and-so who is our $10 a month subscriber. So that's it, just $10 a month. And you could have the first subscriber shout out for our $10 a month tier. We've got a lot of $5 a month folks. Huge thanks to all of them for helping sustain us. $5 a month helps with, tank of gas, helps with travel to these conferences. It helps print business cards and get our merch printed. And our hope is to really build those partnerships with local churches too, which I would throw out there. If you've got a church that you think, hey, this church has a foundation, they want to support ministries like this, let us know. Let them know how they can support Crossfire Faith and Gaming, bringing the gospel and the good news of Jesus Christ across the interwebs to folks like you who enjoy gaming and faith and all of those things together.